Hello and welcome to episode 1109 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, October 28th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Good morning. My first draft is in the books.
Done and done. Took you a lot longer than mine took, but you guys got it done. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good. I think the thing about like my first couple drafts of the season, and I know it's the same for you. It's why we do such early drafts. It's a lot of prep work for us. It's telling us things about the player pool that we may not have noticed by doing ranks or just kind of off the top of my head, like depth of position. I learned that outfield is just a nightmare. I learned that there are massive drop offs at position like shortstop, and so it's not as strong as I probably would like. I think my next draft, which will be against you at first pitch Arizona, will definitely look a lot different. I feel like I have a little bit of lightness and power.
Okay.
So definitely something. And I mean, my outfield is awful. I took Juan Soto in the first round, and then like I didn't touch outfield for like another 10 plus rounds or something. And
I also had some outfield situation where I was kind of letting it go because I was building a pretty robust infield, getting some pitching, and then I look up and by pick 200, I had just Nick Castellanos, and I like some of the guys I got, but outfield's a little bit of a challenge here. And I consider Josh Naylor outfield as well. I'm going to be using him there because I got first baseman. So he was probably my second outfielder. And then for Dugo, Grisham, Fraley, Tavares.
I got Verdugo also.
Hey, let's go. That's our guy. And I got a nice discount on him. I paid the max, and we went through. We played a bunch of mins and maxes.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't pay too many mins. You had more maxes than I did. I was actually in the later rounds paying some mins. I mean, I didn't know the ADP data. I just discovered it yesterday, to be honest. And you can find that NFBC. Don't just change the date. Don't select draft champions from there, even though they are all draft champions.
They might not.
I learned the hard way. Well, maybe they aren't, but we know some are, and none are.
They do have some of the cut lines going. It doesn't seem like those are filling up nearly as quickly. So it should be mostly draft champions.
Yeah, and there's been
it's only 9 drafts.
Yeah, but it's something to look at, kind of dive into, see what's going on. But today, I'm on the hot seat. We're talking starting pitcher ranks. We dove into yours last time out. It's time for you to grill me, ask me what I'm thinking on some players, and see if I'm going to make some moves the way you did. In fact, we both made moves during our last conversation because you brought me up on some, I brought you back down on some, and vice versa. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'll turn the show over to you as we journey through these players.
Yeah, so I am going to do this one a little bit differently than you. One, because I was doing it like 4 o'clock in the morning or whenever. I guess it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Got up at 6. And so I didn't like deep dive like every single rank. But I also wanted to focus on some of the guys who are going to be going earlier because there were some pretty big discrepancies that didn't pop up when you saw because you were kind of looking by the biggest discrepancies. So bigger numbers are obviously going to have bigger discrepancies. I want to start with Carlos Rodon. Well, first we're going to start with guys that you love, that you have much higher. And then I've got a few guys that you hate, that you've got lower than me. So let's start with Carlos Rodon. You have him at 7. I have him at 19. I am super, super worried about Carlos Rodon leaving San Francisco, going to another park. It'll be his first year at a new park, new organization. I assume the White Sox won't be involved. I assume the Giants won't be involved. Though, who knows? Maybe the Giants can or do decide to spend. I just can't imagine they spend on Rodon after not spending on Gausman
especially
last year.
With what they're talking about spending on Judge. How much money you still
They're not going to get Judge either.
Why do you think that? Everyone's saying it. I mean, just because everyone's saying it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But you're pessimistic.
I think it would be a bad move, personally.
Well, I agree with that, but
I mean,
it still might happen.
I think they're trying to drive up the price for other people. Is what they're trying to do.
Okay.
I can't imagine this is you put Judge on this offense right now. Like, I mean, I know it's, you can't make the offense better without making it better, but like, I made the joke I was on the Toolshed podcast with Eric Cross and Chris Clegg and Jeff Erickson. And I was like, if Judge is in San Francisco, he could have 50 home runs and like 65 RBIs. Like, it's just like that offense is
You don't see any rebound from them, because they were so good in 21. A lot of the same guys just kind of came back to the pack. I mean, it's an old team though, so
yeah,
it
that's a
aged
problem
overnight, which I totally understand. Yeah, I get you. I'm looking
to be
at it
honest.
right now.
Like, I don't know what it's even going to look like.
That's the thing. Who even is the offense? Jock was a 1 year.
I don't think Longoria is back. I don't think Belt is back. I don't think Jock Peterson's back.
I agree.
I like Lamont Wade, but he could honestly be non-tendered, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, this could be, I think Estrada's going to be back. Crawford's obviously going to be back unless he retires. But I don't know. I don't know what the rest looks like.
That's fair.
So
let's talk
unless they're going to start sign like 2 or 3 guys.
I think that might be it. But again, that would not leave money for Rodon probably.
Yeah. So getting back to Rodon, then, are you not worried about first year, new ballpark, new contract, regression, and then the inherent injury risk that comes with Carlos Rodon? I know he finished out the year healthy. This year was fantastic. There's no doubting his skills, but I have a hard time wanting to take a guy like that in the second round of a 15-team draft.
You'd rather take someone safe like Walker Buehler, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, I would rather take. We're going to talk about another guy here on your hates. I'd rather take a Zach Gallen.
And that's fine. And I don't necessarily hate him. Again, the discrepancies are smaller in whole number, but we put a lot more judgment or, value on them at this level here.
It determines when you get them, because
exactly.
If you are, even just a little bit below ADP on a guy like Carlos Rodon, my rank says he will not be on any of my teams.
You're not going to get him. Yeah. So, I hear you on first year of a new contract. That is something I subscribe to with the with Colton and the Wolfman from their smart system. I generally want to avoid it. Just give a transition year. They don't say this. Nobody says that every player in the first year of a new deal sucks, but you allow a transition period, because a lot of times we do see guys struggle. How'd Marcus Semien do? I know it's hitter versus pitcher. And again, you can find guys who succeeded. I just named one off the top of my head, but we can name tons. The thing is with Rodon, you talk about, worrying about transitioning out of San Francisco. He was still excellent on the road. His ERA was almost 2 runs higher, but not through anything that he did. If you look at the home away breakdown for Carlos Rodon this year, his whip was actually better, 104 to 102, and his strikeout rate was moderately lower. He had a 13. I'm looking at BREF splits here, so I just have per 9, but he had 13 Ks per 9 at home and 11.1 on the road. Strikeout to walk ratio, 4.7 at home, 4.5 on the road. So I'm looking at everything on the road here. He was not propped up by San Francisco. In an ERA standpoint, sure, but with whip and skills, that's what I'm looking at. And as far as the health piece, I totally get that with Rodon. That's been a major issue. But now we have back-to-back super healthy seasons. I'm always going to favor skill over injury risk, perceived or otherwise, because, and I was making that tongue-in-cheek reference to Buehler last year, who had TJ before. It's not like he was free and clear, but he was seen as a stable, safe type of guy. And we saw that was absolutely not the case. He's had issues. I think safety with pitching is a myth. I really, really do. So I just want the most talented guys. It's looking like I don't have to pay this price here, though, either. In fact, it's more in line with where you're at. If you remove the closers here, I'm eyeballing it. There's probably about 5 closers, and he was the 18th pitcher right now, so that's going to put him to 13. So that's kind of splits the difference between us for Rodon. Because you got him 19, I got him 7. I'm just trusting the talent. I obviously have to see where he lands, and maybe I settle a little bit lower if he lands somewhere that's negative for a pitcher. But other than that, man, I'm looking at back-to-back ace years. He has arrived. I'm not going to overrate health, and I'm open to taking him that high.
Yeah, it looks like he's about the 16th pitcher off the board right now, around pick 54, which is right where he went in my draft. He went at pick 52 point, or sorry, the ADP is 52 and a half. And he went at 54 in my draft. So the guy in my draft was right at ADP.
Mm-hmm. And Mike the Mouth got him at 68, which is around where Luis Castillo's going. Yeah, so he got a nice little deal on
I'd
there.
Still take Castillo ahead of him. So.
I love Castillo. Do I have Castillo ahead of him? I don't. I put Rodon really high. I really did. I mean, this was an excellent season, though. And I don't know. I have a hard time. I have a hard time getting away from him right now. And maybe part of it is that I always liked him coming through White Sox system. And I was always like, man, if he could just stay healthy, if he could just stay healthy. Well, we've finally seen it. So subject to change a bit when we figure out where he lands. But I don't think I'm moving him off something that's going to be higher than ADP, because I think maybe a 2-3 spot move if he moves somewhere negative, but that's only going to put him, put the two Philly guys over him, and maybe put Ohtani above him. Again, Ohtani, impossible to really rank because, do you get all of him? Do you favor him more as a pitcher or a hitter? So I always have a tough time ranking him. But yeah, I'm in on Rodon. I'm eager to see where he lands, but fair pushback for sure.
All right, here's one that really surprised me. I love the skills of Hunter Greene, but man, you have him 34th. And for reference, I have him 60th. I'm also going to throw in Tyler Glasnow here because we have them both kind of ranked in like equally different spot. You have Tyler Glasnow at 33, and I have him ranked at 59.
Yeah, so they're right. I have Glasnow Greene, and then you have Glasnow Greene at 59.60. I got him at 33.34. So interesting combo there.
The market seems to be with you, and actually higher than you, on Tyler Glasnow. And the market is just about where you're at on Hunter Greene. These seem crazy to me.
Well, based on what you just said about Rodon, I totally understand why you feel it's crazy with Glasnow. Let's focus on Greene a little bit first here. I'm going to be open to admitting that perhaps I got a bit drunk off of his finish, but it was really strong.
It was great, yeah.
And we got to see things kind of come together a bit for what peak Hunter Greene looks like. And I understand that those 5, 6, 7 starts are not 100% who he is going forward. But my goodness, when you get a little command working and a little favorability going your way on the BABIP, it was 284 in those last 6 starts for Hunter Greene. 51 Ks, 8 walks, 1 homer in 35 and a third. 2 starts against Miami. That always helps. But at St. Louis, Milwaukee, at Pitt, and the Cubs. So that is a very favorable schedule there. The trip to St. Louis is the only one that you're really sweating. Maybe Milwaukee coming to Cincinnati has a little bit of worry to it because the ballpark is very nice in Cincy, and Milwaukee's lineup is okay. But yeah, that's a really cozy schedule that he got to. And I'm acknowledging that, like I said, I think I'm a bit drunk on those last 6 starts, but I'm not going to move him down too much. I'm really only looking at like a 4 or 5 spot drop here. I want to buy this talent. And it is one that could be volatile and very nerve-wracking to have with Hunter Greene because we've seen the ups and downs. But when things click, you're talking about a guy who has a real shot to being a top 10 guy. Now, that might not happen this year, might not even happen next year. But like you said, the market's already paying for it. I think based on how I feel about the pitching market and some of the other safe players I like in the next couple tiers after this, I'm actually interested in paying a little bit here for, and throw Glasnow back in here, for these high upside guys who have amazing talent, but insane volatility that could wind up with 32 innings pitched and done. But like I said, I'm not going to overly worry about that. I'm really skills focused here, and I'm not trying to predict injury because we don't do well at it. We have no idea. So that's why I ended up with both of them. And we'll talk more about Glasnow in a moment, but I will move Greene down. I'm going to commit to that right now. I'm going to move him.
I've already moved him. I've moved him up, and
yeah, I'm moving him to 40.
I've moved him up to 47.
Okay, so then we're very close here. What
because
was your read?
I will. The hard part for me with Greene is pitches in Cincinnati, which is going to be a bad team. We know it's going to be a bad team.
And it's a bad park even if the team gets better, because I think they could start to already turn a corner next year. Don't forget, they've been putting together a nice system now. They did finally start to trade everything as we were worried about a couple years ago, and it has netted some amazing returns. So I don't think they're going to be good next year. I'm not saying that, but they could start to be competent pretty quickly. But it's still that park, and Greene did have a home run issue.
Did you hear the report of when they were talking with Luis Castillo about an extension before they traded him?
What happened?
That he said he wanted a contract through at least 2027 or 2028 or something like that. And they told him that their competitive window isn't in that period, so it doesn't make sense for them. Yeah,
what?
That they didn't think their team was going to be competitive by 2027.
That's horrifying. I also think they're wrong, but
I think they're wrong too. But
if they feel that way, that's a little.
If ownership and management is going, well, we're not going to spend any extra money to add to the team.
It all comes down to development at that point.
But aside from that, I just, if you're a bad team, you're not going to win many games. If you're in a bad park, you're going to give up home runs. And Hunter Greene, while he looked great down the stretch, he does struggle with command because his stuff is so overpowering and crazy good. Could he put it all together this year and I look silly? Absolutely.
I don't think you'd look silly. Honestly, I don't. I think there's viable, plentiful reason to be cautious with him.
He could be this year's Shane McClanahan. Like I would not be surprised if that happens
for that though.
I also feel like if he's gonna be this year's Shane McClanahan, I feel like I should get him a little bit later because wasn't Shane McClanahan going like 130, 140-ish last year? No, he wasn't.
Late 100. Or late top 100.
All right, well,
if I recall correctly,
his ADP is 115 right now. So I guess that's a good price. I just honestly prefer his teammate, Nick Lodolo.
Well, if you're worried about command, though, how do you not have similar issues? He does not have great command, or are you just saying you like the price difference better?
Oh, I think I like the price. I think maybe it's just the early season work from Hunter Greene that was so scary to me. Maybe you need to go back and watch his last month of starts. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I don't know when it'll be.
It's still what's the word I'm looking for? And there's still the home run issue too.
Yeah,
which I totally understand.
That's the big problem, especially in Great America Ballpark. Like it's just.
And he's got a heavy. Greene has a heavy fly ball lean.
Yeah,
he has a 29% ground ball rate. But again, I'm going to bet on this talent here. He's probably somebody that, when we talk about drafts, and it's not the same for everybody. So if you don't play more than one league, this doesn't really apply to you. But when you kind of look at your whole league set as like a portfolio or whatever, Glasnow and Greene are guys I might get once, right? I want to be in case things pop, but that's not somewhere where I'm going to be like, okay, I'm playing 9 leagues and I have 4 Hunter Greenes and 4 Tyler Glasnow. It's not going to be like that, especially because the market is already there with them as far as price. But I do think the upside is so rich. We saw let's move over to Glasnow real quick.
Glasnow is crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy to me. He is coming off of Tommy John. It'll be his first full season back. He pitched 11 innings. It was a really good 11 innings.
They were so good, though.
They were very good. But man, there's no way he's going to end up anywhere on any of my teams this year. Like,
why though?
First year coming back from Tommy John, he's on the Rays, an organization that will likely baby him. Like
they let him throw 5 in the playoffs. That's like 7 in a regular season.
Yeah, but will they? I don't know that they're going to let him go super deep into a season first year back. Maybe they do. Maybe they go because when is he? Let's see. When is he a free agent? He is a free agent
after
2024.
Yeah, after the 24 season.
Yeah, after the 24 season. Maybe they go. hey, we're gonna get everything we can out of your arm.
I kind of
in
think so,
2
though. He'll
years.
be 29. Like, what are you babying him for on Glasnow? I actually do think that that's something to consider. Now, he himself might force himself to be babied, meaning he might get hurt again. I understand that. Broken record here. I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to let myself run away from high quality talent, top of the scale talent, due to perceived injury risk. And I say perceived, I don't mean to suggest that there's no injury risk with Tyler Glasnow. And I do concede that, of course, certain guys have higher risk than the standard. I think where I differ is that standard pitcher deemed healthy is like this close to a Tyler Greene or Tyler Glasnow or a Hunter Greene, as opposed to this, as far as like their split of safety. I think it's a lot closer than we allow or we think as a general community. And so give me the exquisite talent of a Greene or a Glasnow here. And that's kind of what I'm looking at. I will say, I was a little bit shocked that the market was so high on
The
Glasnow
market's
already.
higher than you. Like
I know.
Like the market has him as a SP 25, I think.
Yeah, the 30th pitcher off the board, which includes the RPs.
Yeah, like
they don't split it NFBC, so forgive us for just spitballing it or eyeballing it rather.
Which to me means that he will likely move up more and potentially be like a 3rd round pick. That's insanity. Like it's just like I understand chasing upside, but like he's gonna be going above. He's already going above Robbie Ray.
I don't have any problem with that.
He's gonna be going above Zach Gallen, who I've already said I love.
We'll get into him, yeah.
Coming into the year, like I can't rationalize it. Like I understand the upside argument, but we have to worry more about downside. And if 2022, you go read all my articles on how I fucked up 2022. It's all about not having enough pitching. But it
wasn't particularly fixable on the wire this year. Streaming was really difficult in the 15-team world.
But a lot of it is because I invited the problems onto my pitching staff by drafting guys that I was getting this guy at a discount, or this guy had amazing upside.
Put names to it. Who are some of the guys?
Jack Flaherty, Lance McCullers.
Weren't those guys already committed to timeout though?
Yeah, and
that's the thing that I
other
won't
guys
do.
There were other guys who I'm having a hard time thinking of pitchers off the top of my head, but like Mondesi.
Were you taking Severino?
I didn't take Severino.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he was part of that. So like I hear you on that. And again, like I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, dude, they're safe. Go get Greene and Glasnow, and boom, there's your 400 innings. But the skill is so high. I just don't know that I want to pass it for lesser skill that is quote unquote safe, because I don't believe in that safety. And that is my fundamental disagreement there.
I'm going to challenge the validity of this argument here in a little bit, but unfortunately, because I do have to get to work at some point, we got to
keep moving. Yeah,
speed this up. Let's talk about Luis Severino. Luis Severino's been a guy I always loved, like more than the market. Clearly, I'm behind the market here.
Yeah, you could have looped him in with the other two, to be honest.
Yeah.
All three of them are kind of right there. But give your thoughts on Sevy, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah, I have him at 32. Or you have him at 32. I have him at 52.
What do you want? He threw 102 innings.
He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he struggled this
though. I mean, that's way more than Glasnow and Greene.
That's way more than
Glasnow. Greene threw the most.
And I have Severino above Glasnow, not above Greene anymore. But I have now at 53, I believe. Now that I've moved 100 Greene up.
I mean, I'm going to be a broken record here, right? And say the talent was amazing. I have a bit more confidence in him than Glasnow, because at least we saw him out there pitching, doing his thing on a higher basis with 19 starts and a couple in the playoffs as well. For Severino, though those weren't his best, he gave 3 runs in both of them, but he struck out 6 in 5 2/3 and 5 1/3 respectively. I mean, again, I'm going to take some shots here. I know I just 1 millisecond got done saying how tough streaming was this year, but I will take the challenge of having one Severino, Glasnow, or Greene in a rotation. And then if I have to replace them, I can replace one guy. And, it might end up that I have to replace more, but I'm definitely going to be open to taking some of these premier talents. And I just don't think that I should be taking lesser talent because it's deemed safer.
Is there any concern about the command this year on Severino? Or do you think that was, hey, command's last income back on guys coming back from Tommy John?
He had because you're talking about the 1-2 homer 9, right?
Yeah, the highest home run rate of his career. He's been a guy who suppresses home runs, which is what he needs to do in Yankee Stadium.
No doubt.
And he wasn't able to.
Yeah, and he had, in this, whenever I bring up like a singular game, I want to give my caveat. I'm not saying take it out, it doesn't count, but it colors what's going on. 3 homers in a game right before he went on the IL. The two probably feel a little bit related. That, he got blown up in 2 innings, 3 homers against Cincy, and then boom, he's on the IL for 69 days. And it was not nice. Don't say that. It was not nice. And I'm not seeing a persistent home run issue. I see 3 games where he allowed multiple homers. It's a 1-2 mark. 1-2 is not great in Yankee Stadium, but I don't know. He still put up a 3.18 ERA and a 1 flat whip with the little bit of a home run issue. I got to be honest. I'm way more confident in him than the other 2, to be quite frank. So
you're actually talking me up a ton on him because like I mentioned,
you already love him. Yeah,
I love Luis Severino.
You are on record with that. Very well documented.
This is not going to be hard for me to move him up quite a bit. And now put him, I've got to even find where I had him in my ranks. Okay, so I had him at 51. He's now going to be right after his teammate Nestor Cortez.
Hey, that's where I got him right by Nestor. Let me color this a little bit more too, because I know we have to be on a crunch. So with regards to Severino, Greene, and Glasnow, if you notice, I kind of have them with some other guys that also have, like, I kind of put this as like a high upside injury tier where it's Severino, Freddie Peralta, Chris Sale, Glasnow, Pablo Lopez, Hunter Greene, all in that same area, because that's what and even Kershaw, he's kind of the leader of that group up there. I think that I'm not sure pitching goes deep enough to not have those guys high, personally.
And that's the hard part for me, I think, is I think there is a pretty clear and very large gap between your SP2s and your SP3s. This is not like last year where I felt like there were a ton of SP3s and 4s that I really liked. This year it is there are not very many SP3s.
I thought the breaks flowed better between the talent last year, and then this year it's like jump downs. At least now, as I'm perceiving the.
I'm either going to take a couple like SP1s or SP2s, or I'm going to do exactly what I did in my most recent draft, which was hammer SP2, like the end of SP2s, just to make sure I've got enough pitching.
Totally feel that. Moving on.
Moving way down the line, you have Jose Suarez at 65. I have him at 97.
I think you're low.
You obviously think I'm low? I'm like
so. Let me give you
a hot stretch, but he was bad the rest outside of that time.
How dare you? How absolute dare you? I'll pull up his game log here. So part of this, I guess, a little bit of the influence was, he was top 80 this year. He was 77th on the SP list for the player rater, and I was kind of shook by that, and maybe I was overly influenced by it when I ranked him, because I'd had him, I think, closer to like 85, and then he started matriculating up the rank, and then when I ran the 2022 where they finish and I saw they were 77, I was like, okay, I feel a bit more comfortable about this. So you're talking about the fact that he had a 5.60 ERA going into late July, but then so that was his first 11 starts. His last 11, 2.81 ERA in 64 innings. So it's a half and half type of situation. And to me, watching him, I still feel like there's a lot of talent here that he doesn't really get talked about. You're talking about a 12% swing strike rate, which is good for Jose Suarez, 15% strikeout minus walk, which is not elite, but it is quality. 3.96 ERA, 1.25 whip, despite the bad first half of his season. I thought the second half was sharp. He has a full arsenal to be a starter. The 6 starter thing, if they do it again this year, which we believe they will, that does mitigate things a little bit. But again, I don't think pitching runs deep enough not to have Jose Suarez higher here. I would be curious.
I'm too low.
Okay.
I mean, I'm especially because the second half numbers, really come after a change in kind of pitch mix. It's
Exactly. That's what I was going into next.
Increase use of the slider, all the way up to 28% usage after being kind of like sub 20% at the beginning of the season. Like, yeah, I don't completely buy it, but there's actually nothing wrong with your rank. I'm completely conceding this one.
Well, thank you. I like that. That's very kind.
So,
J-Mo, okay, go ahead. Give the split on the Jameson Taillon here. I'm not even as big of a fanboy as I used to be, but you put him at 107?
Yeah.
Yeah, set it up. Sorry, I just kind of gave you some stuff there.
Jameson Taillon, you have him at 59. I have him at 107. He's actually moved up to 105. I probably way too low on Jameson.
Way too low. He finished 42 on the year. And again, I'm not just citing these to say that's where you have to rank him, because I didn't rank him there either. But I looked at the season that he put up, and that was the 42nd season on the year among starting pitchers, with a 391 ERA, 113 WHIP in 177 innings. Now, the innings might be the part that you don't agree with, given his health track record. I can grant that.
I absolutely don't. But even if I give him
everything else,
he can't be outside top.
He did have 14 wins too, which on the Yankees, of course, that helps, but that does drive the 42. But that's why I didn't rank him 42. I had him at 60. He's down to 60 now instead of 59.
Yeah.
But I just thought, 107, you got so many guys that I do not like over Jameson Taillon.
I'm going to move him up like 40 spots.
Now, did you have him obviously below the likes of, say, an aforementioned Lance McCullers and a John Greene, a Tyler Mahle? I'm wondering, I might have to move him below that group. I cited that specifically. I think I'm going to move Taillon down to 68, but obviously that's still well above.
And I just moved him up to 78. So
okay, so then we're very close.
Between 68 and 78 is virtually nothing. So, yeah. All right. The last guy that you love is David Peterson. You have him at 75. I have him at 145. Is he even a starter? I think
I knew that's what you were going to ask. Sure.
Is he a starter?
So
because he wasn't all
year. Carrasco, McGill,
and deGrom may be gone.
Okay, so then that makes Peterson even. So then go Scherzer, McGill, Carrasco. Carrasco's a free agent, isn't he? Or no, is he just hurt? Oh, wait, we got notes here. Oh, this is great, by the way. Roster resource. I think this is new. You scroll down below the pitchers, 2023 contract options. They got Bassett for a mutual. They're going to pick that up. So put Bassett on there. 14 million
for
club
a mutual.
option.
If it's a mutual, Bassett.
Oh, yeah. I think he's taking 19. I'm sorry. He's 34 years old. If he passes on 19 to stay with the Mets, I think he's a moron. So I'm going to count him. So we'll go Scherzer, Bassett for sure. 14 mil club option on Carrasco. I think they picked that up. Taillon has a $7.5 million player option. He's actually going to opt out. He might re-sign with them, but I think he'll opt out to get more than $8 million.
I didn't realize how many guys that Scherzer's the only guy guaranteed to be in the rotation.
Guaranteed, locked in, do not. And I'll put Bassett there too. Bassett's going to take that 19 mil. So we'll go Scherzer, Bassett, and then you got Peterson, McGill, even if Carrasco comes back, deGrom comes back, I think there's room. At the worst, he's the 6th, which I know, betting on a 6 early, but how quickly could that go? And I don't want to say a name, but so-and-so tweaks something in February, and all of a sudden Peterson is in the rotation. So it is pretty high for somebody who does not have a locked, unquestioned rotation spot. But again, you look at what he did this year when he did pitch, and I was pretty impressed with David Peterson. And he was the 81st pitcher on the SP rank, and maybe I'm overly influenced. I keep referencing that. I understand that, but I
just put him at 80 or 81. So and
you're actually higher than me now because I've shuffled some things to where he's actually at 85.
Yeah, I just put him at 81. So no, you're right. I was thinking that rotation was so loaded he was going to be facing the same situation. Now, I think a lot of those guys could be back. Like, money is not an issue for, but right now where we're talking, he's our SP2.
Yeah,
so he really is. I think we have to kind of play it by that until we see them bring these guys officially back. He may end up being their SP5.
But that's still in the rotation.
But I don't think deGrom is back. I think deGrom is
he's gone?
Yeah, the comments he's made make it sound like he does not want to be back there.
I feel that. And he might want to try something else for a run for his last run here. So, all right, we got to go quick. I've got 3 that I hate. They're all studs, so let's get into them.
Yeah. Well, you got 3 studs and
3 studs and the best pitcher ever.
And the best pitcher ever, yeah. Dylan Cease, you have it 21, I have it 10. Zach Gallen, you have it 15, I have it 8. Let's start with these 2 first.
Okay.
And then we'll do deGrom next.
So I shouldn't say this, but like, if you see something, say something. This was under duress that I ranked Dylan Cease. Nick Pollock made me. He made me.
He should.
At gunpoint. No, he made me rank him 21. So
he made you drop him.
Yes, because remember how much he was against him last year.
Mm-hmm. Still is.
Yeah, he is. He is doubling down.
He did a random guest spot on my pod, like where
to roast Dylan Cease.
He was just watching, and I sent him the link, and he like came in and roasted Dylan Cease again. So, yeah, he still hates him. I understand the uneasiness about Dylan Cease, and I actually may move him down.
I want to be clear. I have zero hatred for him. I think maybe just the command ended up putting him at 21, which I know. So this is how I know I'm not overrating the 2022 rank. He was 7th, and I got Cease at 21. So I just, I had him a bit lower there. I probably shouldn't have Spencer Strider ahead of him because they're similar, and Cease has done a bit more in the majors. So I'm definitely going to make that move. I'm going to move him to 16. I think that's a little bit, in the middle of where we're both at. I can get behind that. I do still have some.
I'm probably going to
move
the command below that. I have an issue with command too. I also have an issue with what is pretty close to being still a 2-pitch pitcher. I know
speaking of Strider, also a 2-pitch guy, but if they're good enough, it can be all
and
right.
I know that he increased the curveball usage, but I mean, especially when he doesn't have his best stuff on the fastball or on the slider, like he can become hittable. And the problem is when he throws as hard as he does, when he becomes hittable, those balls go far. And so
a lot of things working in his favor. Cease had a 189 average against, 82% left on base rate. There's going to be some regression there. Highly talented arm, gobs of strikeouts, but I think there's more volatility than a lot of people are thinking with Cease, and that was the caution that I was kind of preaching there with the 21 rank. I trickled him back up to 17, but that's where I'm at with Cease. Let's talk Gallen though, because again, I don't hate him, but we do have a split.
I think this is me loving him. I just think people are sleeping on Zach Gallen and how good he has been now for a while, but also the fact that he finished. I mean, the big issue with him coming in the season was he healthy? There were some real injury concerns coming into the season, even though he threw a ton of innings. And sometimes when you have injury concerns, a ton of innings isn't what you want to see. But he just went out there and shoved all season long.
He was brilliant.
I think he was under the radar because he was in Arizona. But don't sleep on Arizona. I think Arizona is going to be good.
1,000% with you on that. And the new schedule favors them so much. They don't have to pay the Padres and Dodgers 52 trillion times.
Yeah.
And they got talent coming. They have talent already there. I'm with you there. So I got him 15. You got him 9, which actually matches his end of season rank, which was 9.
I actually have him 8.
Okay. So you have him above Manoah then too?
I do.
Manoah's been a guy I've struggled with because I was out on him this year relative to the market, and I was wrong. He finished 4th. I got absolutely destroyed on that, even though I had him like 26 or something. It's not like I hated him, but he finished 4. He was amazing. I still worry about the fact that he doesn't have a great strikeout rate. I'm going to move him above Manoah. That's why I'm focusing on Manoah. So he's going to go up to 11 for me because I'm with you on Gallen. I really, really, really like Gallen. Do you think you can do something pretty similar? Like I said, 2.54 ERA, 0.91 ERA this year, or WHIP, did wind up as the 9th pitcher. You think you can repeat that? I know that your ranking doesn't mean you think he'll be the 9th pitcher full stop, but you think you can put up another top 10, top 15 kind of season, right?
I absolutely do. I think he can throw those innings. I think the strikeout rate could even go up a little bit. We've seen him with higher strikeout rates.
I think the K rate can go up and the win rate can go up to counterbalance the ratios regressing.
And Chase Field, I think it's still called Chase Field,
yeah,
is a sneaky good place to pitch. Like I don't
absolutely
like people don't talk about it as like being a pitcher haven, but it
Since
really
their
is.
humidor.
Yeah, it really is. And I just don't think you can sleep on the Diamondbacks getting better. They have already gotten better, and this talent from the minor leagues is coming up is really, really good. And they've also been a team in the past that have shown they're willing to spend when they think their time is coming.
Yep.
I think they could spend here, really bolster that bullpen, really bolster that offense, and actually, start challenging these Padres and Dodgers in that division. I don't think they're quite near that, but I think they're close.
I fully agree, especially if one of Nelson or Jameson breaks out this year to go with Gallen and Kelly. Maybe they bring in a quality arm. All of a sudden, they got 4 guys they can turn to because the pitching's a little bit light right now, but the offense started to really come together with the outfield breaking out last year. Your boy Josh Rojas had a nice year. Varsho, Ketel Marte, I think, can bounce back. I wrote about him yesterday, so I'm with you there. In the interest of time, let's move over to deGrom, because does your deGrom ranking not invalidate all of your concerns about Rodon, Greene, Glasnow, and Severino?
Wait. How does your deGrom ranking
not invalidate
yours? Is my argument. You just said you're going to bet on talent. You're not going to worry as much about injury. You're not.
That's
and
fair.
You've got him. He's the number 1 pitcher in the world. He's not. If he's.
So I do bet on talent, and injury does not fully dissuade me. Age does, though. I still play some ageism. That is fair. So we both call, we're Spider-Man memeing each other, pointing at each other. You are being fraudulent. No, I did express some concern here with the ranking by putting him down at 14. It comes down to the age and just the overall uncertainty. I'm not going to sit here and say it's injury, though, because then it would, like you said, totally undermine the other 4 guys. The one caveat there, maybe this is a little squirrely, there is a price difference too, right? I do think the further you get in the draft, the more you open up your window of what you're going to pay as far as risk. So I don't think it's a 1-to-1 that if I did bring up the fact that he has the injury concern, I don't think it totally undercuts my Rodon, Greene, Glasnow, Severino talk because he is much more expensive. But I hear you on that. I am going to move him up because the raw talent is there. And I can't cry ageism when I ranked Justin Verlander number 20, last winter when everyone was saying, watch out for him, and then everyone started to eventually move him up. So I'm going to move him back up.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, he's the number 8 starting pitcher, but that includes Ohtani. So it's really the number 7. Because I think if you're in a SP only pitching league, you're probably not taking Ohtani in the top 5 necessarily.
Yeah, I think he would be more of a 10 to 15 type.
Yeah, which is still unreal. But he's going to be the number 2 SP this year, I think, when things are all said and done.
Once he has a team and he's killing it in March.
Especially if he signs a long-term deal wherever he's going, people are going to point to that as him being
confidence.
Yep. I think what our rank, being as different as they are, on deGrom says we're both out. Like there's no way he ends up on our team. Like,
I don't think we're getting him because I'm going to take.
If we want to get him, we need to get him in our next 2 drafts because his price.
Where we're getting a little bit of a discount, get in then, because then I don't think we're taking him over the Burns, McClanahan, Cole, Woodruff group. And then if you're not taking him there, you're not getting him. I think you're dead on that. All right, let's end where we end every podcast, talking about Cal Gibson.
All right.
I don't even know what our rank difference is because you didn't put it on.
Because I'm not talking about the ranks. I did the math on where you would have finished had you drafted any decent pitcher instead of Kyle Gibson giving you 140 awful innings in the main event. If you had taken Michael Wakas, who was someone who went after him and that you've loved in the past, you would have finished second, only 3 points behind Scott Genstad in our main event. So tell me how much you hate him.
You are right to put him under my hates. I took him not just to burn you. We both had our eyes on him.
An added cherry on top.
Yeah, it made it wonderful. Early season schedule. It was talked about. Phillies had a good schedule there. Obviously, you take the two aces, but you could take Ranger Suarez and Kyle Gibson because they were opening with Oakland, Miami. He went 1 up, 1 down, killed Oakland, actually got beat up at Miami, which sucked. I should have just cut him then because he was going to Colorado. I was able to bench him without incident, ended up using him for a while. He was toting a sub-4 ERA through May. Hey, things are going well. Why would I cut this guy? Little bumpy to start May or to start June, but then stabilized again. And that was the problem. Go look through his game log, Justin. And every time Kyle Gibson threw a dud, he'd bounce back with 2-3 good starts, and it kept me fucking hooked. And I started that prick in September, and September's what did it.
And the problem is, like, some of the duds were like matchups where there were some duds where you could go, I could probably avoid St. Louis.
And I did avoid some of them. But Miami beating him up and shit.
The Angels crushing him,
Washington
at San Francisco, 7 earned runs, like
in an inning and 2/3. Like he destroyed me, particularly in September. If I'd have just had the 4.08 ERA through August in a 15-team league, that's not going to kill you.
You've been fine, yeah.
He raised his ERA by a run. It basically his September for Kyle Gibson was the microcosm of your July as your entire team. And yeah, I mean, it is, and it is funny that
single-handedly I did the math on it. He single-handedly cost you second place.
It's funny that you did that because you were so mad when I took him, and then you got the last laugh. And I love you and hate you for that.
I know. I just figured that's how we had to end this episode.
It is, and we will go ahead and get out of here. But yeah,
I'm gonna be late to work just for that.
Some more changes. Both of us listening to each other and making some moves here. This is a lot of fluidity with rankings right now. We are working on them. We actually had a really interesting call with the fantasy group yesterday about how rankings are going to be dispersed this year and put together. It's going to be a lot more uniform and clean. So look forward to that coming soon. I don't have an ETA on when the first run's coming, but it's going to be a lot better.
I will have my first run complete ranks on the Patreon as of Monday.
Okay.
So those of you listening going, well, where can I see Justin's ranks? I will have my complete ranks on the Patreon for anybody in the 420 tier and higher.
There you go.
Available. So
I'll finish mine. I have a couple more positions and I'll get mine up within the next.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up the outfield right now. So
all right, well, you're gonna get out of here, but who do you got in the World Series? Starts tonight.
I mean, I think you got to take the Astros. I'm rooting for the.
If you're trying to win money, yeah. Like if you're trying to pick the winner, it's got to be them.
I want a long series because I want to watch.
Christ, so do I.
I want to watch the World Series in Arizona with you and everybody else that's going to be there.
So we need 6 or 7 at least, right? That's how it.
I want to see at least 6. I mean, I'll be there for Game 5 also, but I want to see.
You're getting there Wednesday.
I'd like to see Game 6. I don't know that I want to see a Game 7 because then it would be the during the home run derby at AFL. So
I really want the home run derby. Yeah. Okay. So we want 6.
So we want Astros or Phillies in 6. I'm gonna go Astros in 6.
I think that's what I picked as well. It could be quick. The Astros are such a unit right now; they could go 4 on them, and that's not to discredit the Phillies because they're playing their asses off and they have 2 aces, so they're going to be in this. But Philly's just Verlander's a machine. Wait, what?
Didn't I see Verlander?
He's starting Game 1. Did he die overnight?
Maybe I saw.
No,
I saw a fake tweet. I apologize.
You got God. But yeah, no. So
Verlander's history, they shouldn't giving up 3 home runs to Pablo Sandoval. So.
Okay, Pod's got to go. You got to get to work. So yeah, got to go. Okay, goodbye. Love you. Bye.
Take it easy.
Jesus. Jamming me up left and right, man.
All right, I do have to get to work. So
okay, hit me with this when you can.